Unlike many of you, I've got the benefit of having a job where I'm allowed to rant about things I'm upset about for 4 hours in the morning, and I can do it on 3 hours of sleep. I'm really good at that part of it, and yet on the YouTube, I try to dial it down a little bit and tamp it back. So last night, I apologize I didn't do anything immediately after the game. I had to rewatch the game and then get up to do my radio show this morning, and I got a lot out of my system. We took on the whole concept of swarm. We took on various issues that we have with the offense right now. And as I sit here, less than 24 hours after the end of that miserable, miserable football game, where I don't think the score quite reflected the physical butt kicking that both the offense and the defense took, I'm not making any apologies for being tough on the defense at all because it was a collapse in the fourth quarter when they could have won the game. But there are some very key things about the defense that, at the very least, it could have gone the other way, and with the offense. But there's some systemic things at the offense that I'm worried about. And so I picked out one play from the offense and two plays from the defense to go over real quick that I think kind of encapsulate a lot of the things that are big things that got to get fixed right quick. So on the offense, we know pass protection is an issue. We know perhaps play calling is an issue. We know CJ Stroud adapting to this offense, and then we know some of the injuries are an issue. So I titled this clip Mayhem. I'm going to show you a few different versions of it. Let's look at Mayhem number one. This is the TV copy of this play, 3rd and 7 in the third quarter, and just complete and utter collapse. I'm sorry I even had to show that to you guys. It's not good viewing for children or anybody else. And let me pull up the end zone copy of it because I had not added that beforehand. So I want you to see what's going on here. Again, it's a very fast blitz. It happened very, very quickly. Everything collapsed. But this is what Todd Bowles is so good at when D'Amico talked about disguising blitzes. Look at number 54 there, Levante David. I won't go with names. I'll just go numbers here because I'm going to screw up a name. We know that. Okay, 54, looks like he might be blitzing, right? So does number 8. Who's blitzing? We know that Woody Marks is going to be responsible for one of these guys if they blitz. So 54, he's certainly not blitzing, is he? And the right guard sees a defensive tackle coming across his face, and as he's distracted with that, in his mind he's thinking 54 is not blitzing. But look at number 31 over there to our left, his right. He's blitzing. I'm going to take care of him, even though Woody Marks is also taking care of him. And then Levante David is clean to CJ. But watch number 95 over here on your right, the defensive end. All right. Looks like it's going to be a TE game or something. But he just hits the B gap. Left guard Laken Tomlinson gets beat. I mean, this is just a complete and total, utter butt whooping. And it's not an overload blitz where they don't have the numbers to match up. If you look to the left, you've got 3 guys on the left blitzing and 3 guys to handle them. But they're not picking it up properly because it was disguised really, really well. You see Vita Vea coming across, number 50, coming across the center and occupying him. And the left guard is just getting beat. Look, okay, so number 0, is he dropping out? Is he rushing? The left tackle, Ariante Ursary, doesn't know. They did this so well. But you might think, okay, even as fast as that was there nowhere to go with the ball? And unfortunately, this is where the play calling comes into it and some of the things that perhaps they can do better next week. Right quick. And I don't know, the Jaguars aren't as good at disguising these things as the Bucs. I think very few teams are. I think the Rams and the Bucs are a couple of the best in the business. When we get to the Ravens and teams like that, or the Chiefs especially, you're going to have these issues. But let's watch and look and see. And remember, you got to remember, it's so easy watching from up above to think, oh, clearly you should have gone with this guy or that guy. But let's look at Nico down at the bottom. Nico's on the outside. It's single high coverage. So CJ's got to find that appetizing. And right about there, you're thinking, oh, if he's even, he's leaving. Why don't I hurl it to Nico? It's gone. The pocket's gone already. He's got pressure coming at him right up the middle. He's got a guy coming around his right side. He's got a guy coming around his left. I mean, this was just it. I'm really impressed by the Bucs, but I'm really disgusted. So then, if you look at Dalton Schultz, again, he's kind of held by. He's looking at Hassan Reddick. So Dalton Schultz is a left tight end lined up to the left there, and he's wondering what the hell's going on. Zero drops out, and right now, where if maybe CJ realized, oh crap, we got a blitzer coming up, it's too late. There's no eyes. Like Dalton Schultz doesn't have eyes on him. And it was just so this was because I think people always want to try to make it about one thing, and no, it's not the offensive line, it's the it's the pass protections that are called, or no, CJ needs to figure it out better. No, the wide receivers need to run better route. It's everything. And they just gotta dial it in a lot better, a lot faster. In terms of the game itself, not happy at all, as is nobody else, about the play calling down on the goal line. The inability to establish a run game, except on the one play when perhaps the Bucs may have been letting Nick Chubb score there. I've watched it about 27 times. It makes sense from a time management perspective, but it's a ballsy and a gutsy move because let's remember, after they let Nick Chubb score, what would transpire, what happened was on the defense. I got to get to the defensive side of the ball. I've been very hard on the defense today, and I think it's deserved by them. I look, points allowed is great and all, but they were run on at will by the Bucs too often. And I'll credit the Texans for stiffening up and stopping some of those drives. But by the end of the game, the time of the possession was just so out of whack, including because the offense wasn't doing a good enough job, but the defense was allowing too many long drives. The two plays on the final drive, and I know everybody's probably already sick of talking about Henry To'oTo'o coming around too wide, but it's 4th and 10. Game's over if you get the quarterback down here. And I have a story for myself to explain why I'm not going to be as brutal on Henry To'oTo'o as a lot of you might be. Number 39, he does a really good job delaying the blitz. At first I wondered if he was maybe just inserting himself because the running back was staying in pass protection, but I think this was a delayed blitz, which he did a great job of. There's a little bit, if you can see with Alshire crossing in front of him, a little bit of that same confusion that you might get from the offensive line where they don't realize that To'oTo'o is blitzing. The key thing in blitzology is that when you're looping around the mass of people, you want to keep it as tight as possible because, for one, you can ambush the quarterback better, and for two, you don't leave a lane up the middle. And I know this very, very well, and this is going to shock a lot of you, but back in 1997, a young enterprising rookie by the name of Seth Payne, smart kid, did well on his Wonderlic and everything, went to an Ivy League school, didn't graduate, but whatever, he got in because of football. I'll bring it up again. I was coming around on a loop, on a blitz, and I came too wide, exactly like this, like Henry To'oTo'o, and a quarterback who was 37 years old named Boomer Esiason ran up the middle on me. I got duped by. Look, it's hard versus Baker Mayfield. Boomer freaking Esiason got me, looking just like that. Boomer Esiason. So embarrassed to even tell this story, but I have to tell the story, damn it, so people learn their lesson. And I hope Henry To'oTo'o has learned his lesson. He doesn't have as many excuses as he used to. This is in his 3rd year now. He's got to take better routes to the quarterback. That's Baker freaking Mayfield. But then we also get to the final play here. Let's see. I've got mayhem. Here we go. Bucky Irving breaking tackles. I'm sure a lot of you recall this. All right. So here we go. This is the play you guys will all remember. You've got Aziz is going to be responsible for the running back and coverage. So Baker drops out. They throw it to the running back, Bucky Irving, and he just keeps running. He doesn't break down at all. And then Jalen Petrie, like what is this body positioning? And I thought maybe he slipped on the turf because a lot of guys were slipping on the turf. But Jalen, like, what are you doing? Like, these guys are breaking their own ankles. Just get into a proper position. Break down. Henry To'oTo'o, wrap. Bring your legs. Like, what is this bullshit? What is this? And this is on D'Amico. I get so tired of these guys thinking that they can swarm to the ball. You want to see swarm? And that you don't have to tackle that much because, hey, other guys will rally to the ball. Swarm, missed tackle. Swarm, missed tackle. Swarm, missed tackle. Swarm, missed tackle. 5 missed tackles. I wouldn't call all of these missed tackles. You got 5 guys to the ball. 5 guys to the ball until Azeez Alshire can come back around and finally get him what's he do? He wraps the legs up. They can't think that this swarm mentality is going to be a cure-all for everything because it's not. And I thought maybe they would have learned their lesson when old man Travis Kelce was running amok through the middle of the defense. They are, as I said this morning, their swarm mentality is that they're like drunken honeybees. They get there, but it's almost a race to see who's going to miss the first tackle. And it's unacceptable. It's fundamental football. It's positioning, it's practicing it, and people ask all the time, well, how do you practice it with no pads on in the NFL? You know who tackles with no pads on all the time in practice? Rugby players. You know who does a good job tackling? Many other teams other than the NFL. It's a learned skill. It's not just something that is innately in you that you learned in Pop Warner. And with all due respect to most Pop Warner, high school, college, and NFL coaches out there, most of you guys are actually crap at teaching tackling. I'm sorry. I have to tell you this because I continue to see this crap. You think none of these guys ever got coaching? Like, whoa, it's so bad. It's so unacceptable. And it happens over and over and over and over again. This is the 3rd year now. It's just stupid football. So I can say, well, they got to clean up the tackling before next week. Like the thumbnail said, I'm bad at consolation. I don't know. Maybe this is the come to Jesus moment. This is the wake up call. You're not going to beat good teams in the regular season. You're not going to beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. You're certainly not going to beat Baltimore in Baltimore if you do this. So do they fix it? You know, I asked D'Amico in the preseason what they're doing to work on the tackling, and D'Amico talked about taking proper angles and everything. And I just, you know, if you go back and you watch some Ronnie Lott highlight tapes, maybe I'll do that in one of these next live streams. Watch Ronnie Lott, because you know what Ronnie Lott did while he was a player? He worked at his tackling. And almost all of his highlight hits are actually formed tackles turned into vicious hits. He didn't launch. I get so sick of hearing people say, like, well, if Ronnie Lott played today, they wouldn't even allow him in the league. No, he would adapt to exactly what you can and can't do with the helmet. He turned form tackles into huge hits. And it doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. And yet the Texans are one of the worst teams in the league at this over the last couple of years. And I just... it's very, very, very frustrating to me. And I've told you guys the story before about how I didn't learn how to tackle properly until my 5th year in the NFL. So I'm just, I'm a true believer in knowing that you can improve tackling. And I get really, really frustrated when I don't see it. The run defense. I don't have any clips of the run defense. People were too unaware too often. And at times it was defensive linemen getting blown up in the double team. One more clip. I've got one clip. I forgot I had this. We'll show this one I feel bad about showing because this isn't the worst example that we saw, but it's the scoring play, the play that put the dagger in the Texans' heart at the end, 2-yard run into the end zone, game-winning touchdown run. So a couple things going on here. Let me get myself out of there. That ego on me, thinking I need this little box in there. There we go. Okay. So at the beginning, the Texans are a nickel. And that means, you know, you see Jalen Petrie over there, right, number 5. You've got C.J. Gardner-Johnson right there. And this is going to be a problem, and this is the things you run into. When you're a nickel, Jalen Petrie over there. Jalen Petrie's over there because he's covering that tight end. That tight end moved over to the right side. So instead of a linebacker out there, you've got Henry To'oTo'o. Christian Harris only played 17 snaps or so in this game, so I don't know exactly what's going on with him if he's still recovering from his injury. I would have preferred down here to at least be in a base 4-3 because they've got 2 tight ends. It's not this isn't like middle of the field or something. Like the run is a very serious threat. But you got Jalen Petrie over there because he followed that tight end pre-snap, and guess where they're going to run the ball? Where they've got a situation where an offensive tackle can come up on the safety in the box and just like, what am I going to get mad? I'm not getting mad at C.J. Gardner-Johnson for not being able to beat an offensive tackle, even if it's Charlie Heck. Like, what are you going to do? And then the linebackers, it's not horrendous. It could have been better, but it's on the 2-yard line. This one, Sheldon Rankins, number 90 there, the left defensive tackle. This is what's frustrating here is that Sheldon had a really good game, and I don't want to pick on him because this isn't the most egregious thing ever, but there is an element to stiffening up versus the run where, look, he's got tough duty right here because he gets jammed in the ribs by the guard. It's not the biggest jam in the world, and he's doing a really good job. And he gets up into the guard, like right there. He is in control. He controls that guy, and he could press that guard, keep pressing him back into the running back, but he doesn't. He throws to the right, and that's just enough. And like this is what's frustrating because it's not that he got physically beat. It's not that he's having a horrible down, but he threw to the right instead of squeezing back, and that's gap discipline. That's gap integrity, and it just makes it that much harder for the running backs. So it's all these things in the run game. And again, that wasn't the most egregious example. The defensive ends were really unaware at times on kick-out blocks. The gap integrity by defensive linemen in general was sometimes much worse than that. That part's just got to get hemmed up. They're capable of so much more than what they showed yesterday. And great, they've allowed 34 points in 2 games. 17 points per game is really good for an NFL defense. But it's a little bit of an illusion right now. The expected points added, EPA, last year they were a top 3 EPA defense. Hey, that's all, but they let up too many big plays and they allowed too much scoring. This year they're actually not even good in EPA, but they've actually done a good job tamping down the scores. Those things probably usually balance out at some point. You can't keep allowing teams to sustain drives like this. The one saving grace is that these are 2 good teams they've played. There are a lot of things on offense that can get fixed and perhaps quickly when it comes to some of the things about picking up blitzes. When it comes and the challenge isn't going to be as great this week when it comes to using more pre-snap motion, doing things to confuse the defense, to keep them unsettled, dictate terms to them instead of them dictating terms to you. Everything just feels a little bit remedial right now. And we can write that off. Hopefully 4 weeks from now, we're looking back on it and we're saying, well, hey, look, they're getting their feet underneath them. They were figuring it out. Oh, and Christian Kirk, that was the one thing that I'd missed. Christian Kirk could help out a lot. The quick game. The first game, CJ got rid of the ball quickly pretty well. He was one of the fastest to throw in the league in the first game. This last week, he was one of the slowest to throw in the league. Some of those, and sometimes because the pocket collapsed on him so quickly that he couldn't get a pass off. O-line definitely balls. And that's the thing. I get what people are doing sometimes where they say, well, hey, it's not the offensive line that's really, there's truth to that. It's the protections and CJ setting the protection and anticipating everything. But they don't have a bunch of marauders up front when it comes to pass protection, or there's times where they have to keep tight ends in or they're keeping running backs in, and that makes it a lot tougher. I'd like to see more Woody Marks. The kid keeps stepping up and showing that he's already one of the better pass protecting running backs on the team. He did well as a runner and as a receiver in that game, and maybe that's part of the feeling out process. So as the thumbnail said, I'm not good at consolation. Oh, wait, I didn't mean to. Phew. Dorset Reed, I'll have to put you up here. I almost accidentally banned you. Can we please hire an experienced OC? I have to wait until McDaniel gets fired. Now McDaniel, just as it is with Cliff Kingsbury in Washington, there's something to be said for getting the guy who's probably not going to get another shot at being a head coach, but there's something to him as an offensive coordinator. I don't think for a second that Mike McDaniel has the right stuff to be a long-term successful head coach, but I do think that there might be something to him as an offensive coordinator. But it's too early for that. We got to play. They're going to play it out. They're going to play it out with Kaylee and see what happens, whether it ends up being the right thing or not. Yeah, Jimmy Wynn, that's I don't know if you said this before or after I got to the run defense, but I'm going to get going because it's been a long day and I almost shouted my voice out this morning. So thank you, everybody. Please like and subscribe and all of that other good stuff. To the members, I promise you, I'm going to do some members-only streams this week. It's just, I apologize. I'll do some members-only streams.